Hi, Acts of the Apostles. We are now in the week that we are dealing with Acts chapter 3, chapter 4, and chapter 5, and we're also looking at the question of reading ideologically. That's what you did your experiment papers on this week, and I'm looking forward to reading them. Now, it might seem strange to some of you who've taken exegesis before that we're starting this time with reading ideologically, but that's really not that strange. You see, ideology just means the way you think about the world. Ideology just means the way you think about the world. That means everybody has an ideology. You, me, everybody. Everybody has an ideology. Sometimes that ideology is shaped by embedded or deliberate theology, by experiences of racism or sexism or homophobia or classism, by ethical concerns like liberation or personal experiences like illness, but everyone has an ideology. Now, since everyone has an ideology, we can see that Luke also has an ideology. But what is Luke's ideology? That's the point of this exercise. George Etchelly's article from Vanderbilt Seminary gives us ways to ask that question, but so does Raquel Sinclair's article that raises the womanist question, and Moussa Doubey's chapter that raises the question of post-coloniality and feminism. Each of these raise questions about how anyone thinks about the world, not just Luke, and for our purposes, they then give us questions that we can use to ask how Luke views the world. So in the forum this week, you're going to be looking at Luke's ideology. And I will actually divide you in half. I'm going to, in addition to giving you roles for the forum, as I did last week, I'm also going to assign half of you to consider the ideology of Acts 3 to 5. The other half of you are going to be reading Acts 3 to 5 from your own social location, which is the perspective that you read last week. So half of you are going to be required to do at least one post on the ideology of Acts and the other half on your social location. The reason for this is that we are then going to be able to have a discussion between personal ideology and corporate ideology. And what's going to happen every week is I'm going to keep dividing you up so that some of you are doing social location and some of you are doing the different perspectives. Eventually, we're going to have all of the different perspectives in the room if we have enough students. So you can expect to have your role change from week to week. If you did social location this week, you're not going to do it again next week. The other, you can of course you can post more than 3 times if you wish, and obviously the other posts that you're going to do, one of the other posts is going to be doing one of your discussion roles. So if you're the initiator, you'll be the first post in ideally, and you will also do a post from either your social location or on ideology. If you are the skeptic, you're going to write a post as a skeptic, and you're going to write a post if you're the ideology person from the perspective of one of the ideologies or all of the ideologies. And as I said, this is going to layer every week, so ultimately we get into this large discussion about exegetical methods and how these exegetical methods shape the way we see this text. So I'm inviting you to play. I'm not inviting you to be worried or hung up. I'm inviting you to play with questions that you may not always feel like you have the right to ask in church, that you may not always feel like you have the right to ask among other Christians. I'm asking you to be gentle with each other and caring with each other and take the questions seriously and ask questions for which you may not have an answer, trusting that God can handle the questions. If God can handle the Psalms, God can handle any question you can throw at God, okay? So let's have a good week, have a good forum. Let's jump right in and do it and not wait until Saturday or Sunday. And I'm just going to look forward to reading them and hearing more from you. One more thing. When you go back to the Moodle page, you'll see this question of a class potluck. I'd like as many of you as can to come together, and we'll just have a potluck on the 20th. I know the Owenses probably can't do that, but I'm just reminding you that RSVP is there. If you'd go in and let me know if there are enough of you, then what we'll do is we'll have the potluck. But I'd like to have at least a majority of the class there. So if you can do it, let me know. If you can't do it, let me know, and then I can decide, yes, we're going to do it, or no, we're not going to do it. All right, I'll talk to you next week. Take care.